This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and MM The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Favre, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
And good morning and welcome to another edition of the Sports Wrap Show. My name is Ralph Williams. I'm your host. And today we're here in the Amada Heating and Air Conditioning Studios. But guess where? We're in Ocean City, Maryland. I'm down here on a little trip to take care of some business. And as I'm down here, we're broadcasting live. We're in the Amada Heating and Air Conditioning Studios, 724-2010-500. Call Amada today. Amada Heating and Air Conditioning, live from the Grand Hotel down here on the Ocean City Boardwalk. All right, let's get started with our panel for today. We'll start off with Scott. Good morning, Scott Morganroth. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the South Florida Tribune.
Well, publisher of the South Florida Tribune. I've been in the business for 45 years. I have a book to show for it. And it's really great to be on this show every Saturday. Always good to see Leo Haggerty. Guess what, Leo? I put 2 books in the Candy Cruiser, so they're ready to go to Tampa when you and I do some serious damage. I will go out there and reach out to Jackie hopefully in the next week or so we can get ready to roll. Thanks for getting that worked out. But I have a book out there, Lessons from the Microphone to the End of the During Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. In addition to the YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune. For those of you that are new to the show, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. And you can also follow me on Twitter / Tribune South. Ralph, Leo, and then you guys are great to work with. And this is always something pretty neat that I don't have to produce this show. You get to do it. All I get to do is talk, baby. Good stuff. Leo, right. Get ready, man. We're going to have some fun out in the Tampa Bay area before long. All right, Mr. Haggerty?
We are.
All right, Leo Haggerty. Welcome to the program, Leo. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm with Amped Up Sports. You can find us on Twitter, X, everywhere. We're all over the place. Been out to the Valspar the last couple of days. Going to head out here for Saturday and Sunday. And I'll tell you what, the weather has been brutal on the golfers. Got a little bit of rain on Thursday, and it's been windy. It's been cold. It's cold again this morning. So these guys it's a test now, too, because you get in the rough out at the Copperhead, that snake will bite you.
You got that right.
You're covering that golf tournament in Tarpon Springs?
Yeah.
Tarpon Springs is a great area. I love Tarpon Springs. I got to tell you a funny story for Penguin, though. And that's this. I'm over at Outback Steakhouse yesterday, and they turned the golf tournament on. The TV I was watching comes cooling in the March Madness. So I was like, well, all right, Tarpon Springs will give you a mulligan, but really? Seriously, really? I felt like I was over at Morrison's Cafeteria out in St. Petersburg, Florida, many years ago, where there were a lot of seniors that were watching it, which I have no problem with seniors. I love them. I know I'm one of them nowadays anyway, so what's the difference? But it seems pretty weird. But the moral of the story was, even though I went through all that, I ended up finding 2 YouTube subscribers over at Outback. And get this, Leo, you're going to love this. The assistant general manager bought my book on site.
Nice.
That worked out well. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but you brought up that golf tournament, Leo, so you kind of set me off a little bit, brother. In a good way.
All right. All right, let's go to Pensman Sports. Good morning, Pensman. How are you this morning? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how people can watch your programs.
I'm good. On Pensman Sports. You can find me on Pensman Sports on YouTube. You can find me on Pensman Sports on X, and I cover the Steelers, Penguins, and Yankees. And you can find me on South Florida Wednesday night and Thursday night on Fire Up and Sports Exchange. So,
all right, okay. Today, everybody, we were going to get into some other topics, but we kind of got derailed on some of our topics. So we're going to start off about George Foreman. Breaking news: George Foreman died last night at the age of 76. And this segment's brought to you by Lessons from the Microphone, book by Scott Morganroth here. The enduring or tuning it into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders, and don't forget to pick it up at Barnes and Noble and also on Amazon. So there you are. All right, let's get started here. George Foreman. Sad to hear about what happened with him. Some great boxing matches that he had. Muhammad Ali, the fight with Tommy Morrison, Michael Moore from Pittsburgh. I mean, there was just some great fights that he was involved in. Mike Tyson, I believe he even fought him. So, let's get into this here. Leo, we'll start with you, George Foreman.
There's two great comments that I can remember. One that George Foreman made and one that Howard Cosell made in his fight with Frazier. Down goes Frazier. And again, that was Foreman knocking Frazier down 6 times. Wow. And they asked him one time after Muhammad Ali had passed about the rumble in the jungle. And after the first round, they're in a clinch. And Foreman goes, Ali whispered in my ears, goes, "That all you got, George?" And Foreman looked at the announcer and said, "Yeah, that's all I had." And that was it. But a great ambassador of boxing, and he will be missed.
Oh, yeah, and his grills, they sell like crazy. I've bought about 3 or 4 of them in my lifetime, including the outdoor grill. I really enjoyed that. Okay, Pensman Sports, go ahead. Your thoughts, George Foreman.
George Foreman is a true legend. He's up there with Mike Tyson. That Mike Tyson was a legend too, and that fight was. If you haven't watched that fight, I recommend watching that on YouTube. So,
all right.
He'll be missed though.
Okay. Oh yeah, he will be. Thank you. That's Scott Morganroth.
My point of view is a little bit different than everybody else's, and I'll tell you exactly why. I had an opportunity back in 1982, I want to say, at the Allen Park Gym in North Miami, and I spent a week with Muhammad Ali. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things I talked about with Muhammad Ali is about the George Foreman fight. And Muhammad Ali, I have a great picture with him that is, by the way, Ralph and everybody, in my book, with Ali with a fist on my jaw. Then again, everybody's taking a shot at my jaw. Ali just simply told me, "Scott, George Foreman went out there and ran out of gas. I used that rope of dope as well as I could, and I knew he was done. It was all mine," is what he pretty much told me. And I love Muhammad Ali. I always will. George Foreman was great. I mean, he reinvented himself after the fight. But the biggest thing is he never wanted a rematch because he knew Ali outsmarted him with the rope of dope, and then he'd find a way to beat him some other way. So you want to talk about a life lesson learned from the rope of dope. What you end up looking at is you lay on the ropes, you take what you have to take, and then come on strong to win. And I think that's the one thing that impressed me about the way Muhammad Ali addressed things. And George Foreman, rest in peace. The man reinvented himself. Think about it. Won 75 fights, Leo?
Yes.
Over 75 fights, and won the majority of them by 68 by knockout. That's pretty impressive. It really, really is. And Joshua, let me address something in the chat room. No, we're not going to address that situation on the air, so we're going to leave it at that. I do want to address it on my own, so we'll just keep it right exactly where it's at. So as far as I'm concerned, Joshua, you want to talk to me privately, I'll talk to Pensman, but that's as far as we're going to go with it. Just want to say one more point about George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. I've watched that fight so many times, whether it's on YouTube and my old VCRs. Only Leo and I would know what VCR tapes are right nowadays. Otherwise, everything's done. So rest in peace, George Foreman. Like everybody else, I bought your grills too. They're pretty good. But I love watching your fight with Muhammad Ali better, and I'm glad you're reinventing yourself. All right, I'm done.
All right. Josh, it's not a vacation. It's a business trip, but I am enjoying it. Thank you, Josh, for that. And Christopher Cole says, "Good morning, Christopher. Great to have you on the show." He's also a very active person on Amped Up Sports shows. Leo can tell you that, along with on Peter Blake's Sports Web show a lot as well. All right, we got that segment again, and we're going to put this back up again. Help Scott out here. Lessons from the microphone, tuning into Enduring Wisdom. Please buy Scott's book. You can get it at Barnes & Noble and Amazon, and also from his publisher. All right, let's go into our next segment, which is brought to you in part by Digital Data, digitaldata.com. Listen, they did my website, www.rwmediaproductions.com. They manage it for me. I email the man that I have that's my, the guy that's my representative. And what I do is I email him what I want put up. Within 15 minutes to a half hour, it's put up. He emails me back and says it's done. All right, so that's the great service you get from Digital Data, digitaldata.com. Get a hold of them today and get a plan, low monthly rates as well. They will manage your website, build it, whatever you want done. Digital Data will take care of it. Okay, let's get started, guys, with the NCAA tournament. Some upsets out there. North Carolina lost. Let's go around here and get everybody's opinion on so far, and I'll give you the schedule of some games that are happening today. Go ahead, Scott.
I predict the Florida Gators to win the whole thing. I really have. Pretty hard to go against them. I see their media releases all the time. As far as some of the upsets, Marquette losing to New Mexico, that wasn't surprising because Richard Pitino Jr. is an excellent coach. Doesn't get the publicity that he does because he's out in the Southwest. We're talking about a lot of different matchups. Duke is the only team left in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And only 4 teams got in. 4 ACC teams got in. Michigan Wolverines, well, under Dusty May, they don't win many games by routing them, but all you need to do is win in the tournament. And I love Dusty May and that Twin Towers that they have in Vlad Golden and Joe Wolf. The storylines go on and on. I don't want to go over my time limit. That way, Leo Haggerty won't stick it to me at the Black Rock Bar and Grill when I see that in about 2 weeks.
I'm going to bring a watch to Black Box.
What's that? I'm looking forward to doing something with this guy here when we get to Tampa doing our own show where there's no time limit. It becomes a good time. Other storylines worth noting. Well, I don't know about Duke. Everybody knows about Florida Gators. It'll be interesting to see how the other matchups play out. And we can save some of this conversation for next week. And one other thing I want to mention, hats off to the USF Bulls women's team as well. They're even making the tournament. I didn't like their chances against Tennessee, but more power to USF Bulls women. I don't care. I'm just glad they made it in front of the women.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, Pensman Sports, your thoughts, NCAA tournament. And we are going to talk about one very key game today at 2:40 p.m. We'll talk about that after we're finished here. Pensman, your thoughts, NCAA tournament men's right now.
Well, Oregon beat Liberty, so that's no surprise. That's no surprise there. North Carolina, they lost. That was a huge surprise in my book, the way they had a 50 push win the other night. But I'm glad that Duke is the only team standing in the Atlantic Coast, but Cooper Flagg came back. He had 14.7 rebounds, so it's good to see Cooper Flagg coming. He was running and seemed like that ankle is about 100% there, so that's my take.
All right, Leo Haggerty, NCAA tournament.
Well, I'll tell you what, the big upset I thought was Memphis, not because they got beat, but because they just couldn't get people healthy. Again, Memphis going to the tournament this year and 2 years ago, and they've been just so banged up they can't play everybody. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview of what's going to happen Sunday. Connecticut's beating Florida, guys. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Brian Pettit says, good morning. Good morning, Brian. Thank you for being part of the program. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, X platform, the Huddle Sports Network. and I'm working on getting us on the Oracle Radio Network. I'm in conversation with them, so we're going to be on there as well. And we're also on the South Florida Tribune Network, and we're simulcasted there as well. I want to thank Scott Morganroth for letting us broadcast on the South Florida Tribune Network. So.
You're welcome. I will say this, Leo. Now you have me intrigued. It wouldn't break my heart, however, if Gino Auriemma joined you and I in Tampa at the Final Four.
But wouldn't it be nice if Connecticut, LSU, South Carolina, and either UCLA or USC, if those are the four there, it's going to be some heavy hitters in there.
Well, not only that, you want to talk them. Yeah, that's true. And I, if we're talking on the women's side, oh my goodness, that's just unbelievable. But the star power, I'll be watching more of those games when we get to narrow it down to 16. But think about this. Maybe my geography is really messed up. And I mean messed up, Leo. I think that's in English language, okay, and Webster's Dictionary. But the Big Ten having UCLA and USC in it in LA, oh my God. Remember that song, This Land Is Your Land, from California? That's what we learned when we were in grade school, right? Well, the Big Ten.
They got to change the ACC from the Atlantic Coast Conference to the All Coast Conference. Now Stanford and Cal are in there. So yeah,
I agree.
It's got to be ridiculous for the non-revenue sports, and the only non-revenue sport is football. I mean, football, you only have to travel 6 times a year before the playoffs, but these guys are going cross country, at least 8 to 10 times a year. It's terrible.
Hey, Ralph, that's a topic you should really actually bring on a show even next week. I think Leo's on to something with this one. I really do, because I was watching Stephen A. Smith the other day, and he made some comments about the Atlantic Coast Conference with Stanford and Cal. I don't think it bothers me about SMU as much, Leo, because you're in Texas. And not only that, the thing that people have to do, and take those notes down, is that SMU isn't getting paid anything for 10 years. They're not. They just want to go in that conference. So I don't think travel, Leo, correct me if I'm wrong, is as demanding when you go to Dallas than it would be if you're going to the West Coast. And again, they don't get any revenue for 10 years. They got all those Texas oil men fitting the bill. They just want to get it over there. But I agree. That's a great topic, Leo. It really, really is. One I would certainly, Ralph, on a later date,
sure,
for to address.
Absolutely. Okay. Those of you in the comments section, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let me handle that. Cyberuski, as I mentioned in the chat, and I'm not going to spend this entire show dwelling on stuff that should be aired privately versus in this chat room. This chat room is only designated for what I consider pertinent comments to what we are talking about with an exclamation point. So I understand where you're coming from, but that is not the forum and the place to put it in. And that is final. Continue on, Ralph.
All right, let's move on. The game I think this is a great game, a great matchup. Arkansas versus St. John's. You got 2 legendary coaches, and John Calipari and Rick Pitino. Bringing himself back in his second tenure as a coach in the NCAA. Leo, start with you. This game here, Arkansas versus St. John's.
Oh God, I go back to Calipari at UMass and
yes,
Pitino at Providence. I mean, Ernie DiGregorio. I'll tell you what, talk about something that no one thought would happen. I mean, here's Rick Pitino resurrecting St. John's. Here's Calipari leaving Kentucky and going to Arkansas because the Kentucky fans didn't appreciate what they had. And he gets Arkansas to the tournament, albeit I didn't think they should have been in because of their conference record. But you know what? Once you're in, make hay. And they're making it. And believe me, that'll be must-see TV.
All right. Brian Pettit here with his comment about ESPN and the tournament challenge. And then we have
actually, let me talk about Brian. Put it up there. He actually contacted me on the phone the other day talking about that number. You don't know what I mean? This guy's doing awfully great in this tournament. So I'm with you, Brian. I don't participate in any of those brackets anymore because I don't want to have to track these results. I just want to simply enjoy the games, and that's it. Brian, if you're that good at it, I hope you win, and I hope you cash in on every dime that you're entitled to. Great stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got a couple stories, but I think I told you guys last week about the Vegas story. I don't know if I told you guys about that,
I
but
remember.
all right. Well, I was in Vegas, and this is a good tournament story in 1999 at the old Frontier Hotel. And I went downstairs to this hot dog stand to go get my wife and I big hot. They had these big super hot dogs, and if you stay in at the hotel, you get it for $2 a piece. Plus, you get potato chips. So I went and I got two of them for me and my wife. This guy standing behind me, reeking in booze. I mean, it was like a liquor store. And I said, "What's going on with you today?" And he goes, "I have $1 here. That's all I have to my name." He says, "Because I bet all my money on Syracuse and they lost to Wright State. So he had $1 to his name. He was getting a 99-cent shrimp cocktail." So that's my NCAA tournament story. So there you go.
Well, good story. 1982, I attended a NCAA Final Four as a fan in New Orleans, and all I did was see Michael Jordan and Dean Smith win a national championship. I had that little T-shirt, which was, I think, a small or a medium, because I only weighed like 110 pounds back then. You can double that weight as we speak right now. And realize, but it's sitting in my office, and it's a cool shirt. I actually have these little push pins, is that what they call them, out there, and I probably display that. With all the million times I moved, I still have that shirt. It's cool.
All right, Pensman Sports, your thoughts on this game, Arkansas versus St. John's?
Cal Perry versus Rick Pitino. I think St. John's got Cal Perry this game because of Rick Pitino being a defensive coach. I think it's going to be down to the wire, but I don't think Arkansas has the power that St. John's has in this game. So kudos to them beating their first win, but St. John's is going to win this game.
All right. Okay.
Well, let me address this game. The guy to watch out for in this basketball game is a guy by the name of John L. Davis, formerly played at University of Florida Atlantic University. Good player. John Calberry, simply put, is on house money in this game. He really is. He got burned out at Kentucky. It wasn't fun, as Leo alluded to earlier. He's rejuvenated, and Arkansas, Rick Pitino, what can you say? Led 6 different teams to the NCAA tournament. It's a great matchup. If I were any man, I would bet. I'm just looking forward to watching a good basketball game because I think it's just a great matchup with two coaches that have a nice history. Mind you, I read that they've never been out to dinner together at all. They're not friends, but they are competitors. Just a little sideline. They bet that recently.
All right, let's move on here. Our next segment, we're going to talk about NFL free agency real quick, and then we're going to get into our greatest players in the NFL history. And this week, we focus on the NFC North and South. All right, this segment's brought to you by Big Dog Auto. Go to Big Dog Auto today. That is 412-999-0121. Head there today, or 0191, I'm sorry. Head there today. Buttermilk Hollow Road by the Allegheny County Airport. Not the Pittsburgh International, but the county airport in West Mifflin. Look, Big Dog Auto, oil changes, state inspection, brakes, anything you need done, and he'll do it for you at the right price and will not take you to the cleaners like some of these other people in auto repair. Big Dog Auto, call the Big Dog today. All right, let's get into NFL free agency. Scott, we'll start with you. Aaron Rodgers visited Pittsburgh yesterday and a whole lot of other things going on. Go ahead, Scott.
Aaron Rodgers, interesting story. Who knows when he'll make up his mind. The one thing we should point out, however, that Jameis Winston signed with the New York Giants.
Yes.
Deal.
Yes.
Now, whether the Giants decide to add him with Winston will be an interesting story. I still think, regardless of what happens, the Giants need to draft a quarterback in the draft. Aaron Rodgers waited all he wants. At some point or another, you're going to make up your mind or not, but he does things his own way, so I'm not going to question anything. Is he kicking the tires? Is he looking to retire? I think if he was smart, at some point or another, before the draft in the next couple of weeks, you just go out there and decide if you want to play or not. But I'm not one to tell a guy who could go out there and talk about instead of getting vaccinated, what did he do? Get immunized? Is that the word that he used, Leo?
Yeah.
Addressing it. I'm trying to remember if my memory serves me. So who knows what planet it's on? He needs a darkness retreat, but at some point you need to see the light if you're going to play ball or you're not. So I think, and I've been saying it for the longest time, Aaron Rodgers is a good fit in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin and the structure that they have there. And I wouldn't, me personally, want to see my career end on a downer with the New York Jets.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I wouldn't even go to the Giants if I'm Aaron Rodgers because they're a dumpster fire as well. So I mean, I wouldn't go there either. So
yeah, but Jameis Winston made a good move. He's young enough to be able to play out there. He still has some mileage left on his tires. I really
yes,
do.
he does.
If you get him a couple quality, he's one of those feast and famine guys. He could be. I don't play fantasy football. Preface that. But if you have him in fantasy and he throws for a ton of yards, you're going to do well on that particular week. So with Jameis Winston going to the Giants, it's an everything to gain, nothing to lose situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they're a dumpster fire there, but we'll see what Brian DeBoe does with him. There in New York. All right, let's go to Pensman Sports. Your thoughts on the NFL free agency currently and Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh visit yesterday. Your thoughts, get Pensman.
Jameis Winston, Brian, if you're still here, that's the move that you're talking about. But the Giants did. He told me about Giants move, but he didn't hear about the move. So that's the move that you were telling me about. Aaron Rodgers, if he made a deal that would have been done yesterday, he would have. He walked around town. He went to the facility. He did this. He did that. If he was happy, he would have signed the contract then and there. But we'll see what happens. There's still plenty of room. Steelers still need to work on their offensive line. They got some defensive players, so they got their defense wall up. So that's my take.
Well, maybe you say that, because maybe that's the one question that Rodgers brought up with the Steelers. What are you going to do for that offensive line? Because he got beat up a little bit in New York Jets. I don't know, but that's an interesting point. Sorry, Leo, I know you're ready to stop, but Pensman brought something up that I had to kind of get out there.
No problem.
Oh yeah, well, we'll see what happens with him if he decides to come to Pittsburgh. Is he going to be able to work with Arthur Smith on with the offense? He's the offensive coordinator. His offense is not really glamorous, but we'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, Leo Haggerty, free agency. Aaron Rodgers and
James made the right move. He went with a team where there's not a lot of expectations. He can grow with it, and again, that's a good move by the Giants because you don't want to bring in Aaron Rodgers not because he's not good, but because you're not ready to win yet. You got to stick around and figure out what's going on. And what this does now, it allows the Giants, if Cam Ward, and I don't think he'll be there, or Shedeur Sanders is there, it allows them to back up in the draft and grab a couple extra draft picks. Because that's something that's going to be interesting because I think somebody's going to jump up and try to take Tennessee's spot because Tennessee doesn't need a quarterback. They got what they think is their guy, and they got more holes than Swiss cheese. But, that was a good move by the Giants, good move by Jameis.
Leo, you don't think that the Tennessee Titans should go after Cam Ward? Who do you think they have?
Oh, I think anybody should go after Cam Ward. Absolutely. The problem is if bringing in Cam Ward, now he's still a project in Tennessee. It's just you got to then trade Levens. You got to get rid of him. So I don't know what Tennessee's thinking, but I think Cam Ward is the jewel in the draft. Period.
So I'm going to ask you another question, Leo, if it's okay with you. Do you really think that Cam Ward is as much of a project as you think it is? I saw this guy play a lot.
No. I think that is a project.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, Leo, I got clarity on. I just wanted clarity on that. That's all.
Yeah. The project is Tennessee, not the project is Cam
Gotcha.
Ward.
Thanks for clarifying. I wasn't sure what I heard, so I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. And I was
Got it.
Yeah, there's no question Tennessee's a project. They're more than a project. Getting rid of Will Levis won't be that difficult for them to do. Now, if they could get a second or a third out of the guy, you never know what second or third round picks are going to turn into. Get something for him, but I just wanted to make sure that I was clear where you were coming from, Leo. That's all.
Scott, you got to remember that NFL and college have two different speeds of the game too. So Cam Ward
Really?
might set the world on fire on college, but we don't know what he's like in NFL with that speed.
Yeah, but Pensman, here's where I really disagree with you on that. I agree that they do have different speeds when they play.
Right.
However, some guys are more prepared to jump to the NFL than others. That's the only thing I'm going to say because of the coaching that they've had at the college level.
I get you.
All right, guys, let's move on here. We're going to go into our series on the greatest players in the NFL, and we're going to break every team down. We're doing the NFC North today, and also we're doing the NFC South. All right, this segment brought to you in part by Alex's Flowers, 412-661-6071. Call Alex today. Weddings, funerals, just for your sweetheart. Anything you need flower-wise. This guy's the man, 30 years in the flower business, and he's a Pitt alum. So give him a call, 412-661-6071. Alex's Flowers. All right, guys, let's move on here. We're going to start with our series on the NFC North. And we're going to start with you, Scott, because we're going to start with the Detroit Lions. Go ahead.
Why did I know that was coming? That's what you call what you call a GMTA, people. Great minds think alike, Ralph. Good stuff. All right, Detroit Lions is obvious. Barry Sanders. But I'm going to put an honorable mention. I got just Bobby Lane. He's the last guy.
Yeah, those are my two as well. So, yeah, because my co-host Smoking Jim Frazier says Detroit's not winning because of the Bobby Lane curse, he calls it. So,
well, I worked with Barry Sanders, and I'm going to tell you, here's a great story. Only Leo can appreciate that. I was at the game where Barry Sanders broke 2 80-yard touchdowns in the same game. My buddy Chip Namus was a PR guy for the Bucs. And I spoke to Barry because I was staying at the Lions Hotel. I want to say it was a Hilton, but I don't remember. And I hope you have a good game. And all of a sudden, that happened. And Leo knows as well as anybody, PR guys frown upon anybody cheering in the press box. So don't sit here and tell me in a million years that anybody made by that rule, and Chip didn't even care. He was even applauding. I did not applaud 2 80-yard rushing touchdowns in the same game as Barry Sanders. Really? Seriously? Really? And by the way, I'll have a hat that I'll be wearing with that particular slogan soon enough. It's on the way from Amazon.
all right, next, Leo Haggerty.
You can't fight with either one of them. Bobby Lane. The only thing I would throw in there is Alex Karras, just because of the notoriety. That's
right.
The only one.
Well, I put him in there, but the problem was that he did just as well off the field with his entertainment than he did on the field because his reputation was a little bit hampered by his gambling activity. But other than that, how do you go against him? There's no way I could debate you in a negative way, Leo, because you're right. How many people in this generation know about Alex Karras, Leo?
Oh, yeah.
Only you and I do, and maybe Ralph. But I'm with you. In fact, I'll give you a great Alex Karras story. You ready for this one? I get my Detroit Lions cards confiscated by a lady in an elementary school, and I got them back at the end of the year. You know what card she kept? Alex Karras.
Yeah.
I didn't get them all back. No, I gave them all back. Alex Karras in there. I may have been young, but I wasn't El Stupido. I remember, but that just shows to show you how valid you are with your comments, Leo. At least I have that story to talk about today.
All right, Pensman Sports, Detroit Lions.
Everybody's probably gonna disagree with me on this, especially Scott, since he's a fan. But I thought
I'm not a fan. I'm a writer.
Yeah, but I thought Dan Orski, when he played, he was pretty fair. So, but I put him in there, I guess.
Who was this?
Dan Orski. He was a quarterback for the Lions.
Dan Orlovsky. He's talking about Orlovsky.
Come on. Do me a favor, brother.
What?
Get the name right.
Yeah, but this last name's weird, though.
Joshua, if you're watching this, okay, and I know you probably are.
Cheek there, Scott.
Huh?
I think his comment was a little tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, I know it was. That's why it's our goal to entertain is what we're doing, right, Leo?
That's right. We're entertaining.
Right.
Yes.
So I think Mr. Pensman needs to get a lesson on getting the name right, Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, but that's my take on that.
I think Matt Patricia's one of the. No, I'm just.
Well, we're talking about great players, not
I
great
know.
for nothing.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you want to sit here and
I'm just having fun with
if
everything.
you want to change the narrative, that's up to you. I have 60. The last time the Lions won a championship, by the way, was on December 29th, 1957. But you know why I remember that date? I was born on December 29th, 1962. So how do you not remember through a word and date association about when they won a championship? Because all I have to do is go back to my birthday 5 years before I was born, mind you. All right, so Penman, try to do what you can do. Okay, give me an intelligent answer about who you really feel the Lions are, because you certainly gave the Joshua Door version of it, and this guy will figure. You think he's giving you a hard time now? After he hears it, he's going to give you a hard time. But don't beat up on these guys too bad as much as you may want to, because they will help you get subscribers. You just have to get through this stuff. Give me one or two that you really know that are good.
All right, next.
The only person that comes to mind is Barry Sanders.
There you go. So now he agrees with all of us.
Right.
Hey, Charlie Batch. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Good for you. He's drafted by the Lions.
Yeah.
We're not talking to Pittsburgh Steelers, are we? Yeah.
No, not that's AFC North.
All right, here we go. Next, Minnesota Vikings. Let's start with you, Leo.
Frank Tarkington.
Okay.
And the entire Purple People Eaters front four. You know, you got Page and Marshall in there. Some pretty good players.
All right, let's go with Pensman Sports.
Go to Scott quick.
All right, go ahead, Scott.
No problem. Thanks, Leo. You're awesome, my man. I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks, my brother. And to honor George Foreman, I've decided to put Chuck Foreman into the conversation as one of the best running backs on that squad. And also I'm going to put Fran Tarkenton, and there's another footnote. I had his nephew, Chip Tarkenton, on my show one time, and Chip was unbelievable. So I'm going to go with Fran Tarkenton, and I'm going to go with Chuck Foreman. Rest in peace, George Foreman. But Chuck Foreman was a bruising back. You don't believe me? The Detroit Lions had to deal with his abuse week in and week out, and that's when they played at the old Metropolitan Stadium, how rough it was for the Lions. You talk about a house of horrors out in Minnesota. That was it.
All right, my God, Pensman.
Randy Moss. He was the great one in wide receiver in Minnesota back in the day. He did some stupid stuff off the field, moving a police car, but what you got to do is on the field. That's what he showed up in the field.
All right, I got one for everybody here. Not only Fran Tarkenton, but Chris Dolman. He was a good defensive lineman for the Minnesota Vikings. And also
John Randall, you got to throw in there too. He invented pretty much that nose tackle spot with Warren Sapp.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's move on. Chicago Bears. All right, let's go with Scott. We'll start with you.
How do you not go with Dick Butkus?
I'm sorry?
How do you not go with Dick Butkus?
Okay, yeah.
And then if that is good enough.
Here's how you could not go with Dick Butkus, because you got to throw in his 1A. Kansas Lightning. I mean, I've never seen a running back as good as Gale Sayers when he was healthy.
Ever. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Gale Sayers, that's
the best. But yeah, Butkus is there. And think about this. Chicago, with the two of them on their team, never made it to the playoffs. That's how tough it was getting in back then.
True. Well, I thought you were going to say Walter Payton, because that would have been my second.
Yeah, Payton's in there too. Absolutely.
And I've seen him haunt the Lions many times. But Leo, you're unbelievable, man. I get you and I go back that time with Gale Sayers. Excuse me. No, I'm talking about here. Want to invent a name, Leo? Let's do it. How about Gale Sanders?
Yeah.
Gale Payton. That too.
There's a bunch of players in the Bears organization. Just sad that they didn't get to more Super Bowls. So, But, all right, Pensman, go ahead. You're up. Chicago Bears.
Lovie Smith, the head coach of the Bears back in the day. First African-American to actually get into before. Yes, so that's my take.
All right. Green Bay Packers. All right, let's start with you, Leo. Green Bay Packers.
Bart Starr, drop the mic.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Pensman, go ahead.
Brett Favre, when he was actually good, he played his heart out, but his dad died. He had his best game. I say Brett Favre. That's my take on that.
All right, Scott.
I can go against Bart Starr. You can't.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
Bart
I mean,
Starr.
we
How
can
about
hear
Reggie
about-
White?
There you go. That's a good name to put up there.
Yeah.
They have to
There you go.
throw him in with the Eagles, too. Bart Starr
Yeah.
played his whole career there.
Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
That's the only reason
And
why.
so did
Leo,
Reggie too, Leo.
but Leo, that's the only reason why I did not put Reggie White into this conversation because of what you said. He began with the Eagles, but he put the Packers on the map when he decided to go there in
Yes.
3-8.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the only reason why, Leo, I did not put him in this conversation because of what you just said.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, there were some defensive players with the Packers that people don't talk about. Dave Robinson, Ray Nitschke. I mean, their secondary was phenomenal
Well,
back
one
in
of
the day. So,
the
yeah.
name drop, put Paul Hornung in the conversation.
And Jim Taylor. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started here with our NFC South, which is a division that Leo knows about. So we'll start with Leo. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Leroy Selman. And it starts and it stops right there. And there's a lot of great players now. You got Derek Brooks. You've got Warren Sapp. But Leroy Selman was the beginning for the Bucs. He put them on the map. And we sat up at the University of Wisconsin. We used to run a football clinic up there for the Wishbone. And Galen Hall was a line coach at Oklahoma. He came in. He said, I got to show you this film. I said, what's this? It's film of Leroy Selman. He said, we couldn't block him for 4 years. We couldn't block him. We had to tell Leroy, hey, look, we want to run this play. Just back off. And, you got Lucius, you got Leroy, you got Dewey. The Selman brothers were phenomenal. But Leroy Selman.
All right, Pensman.
Warren Sapp.
Okay. All right, Scott Morganroth.
Leroy Selman is an absolute no-brainer. I have another interesting story about him. I met him once actually because he started the University of South Florida football program, and he was a big part of the growth of it. But get this, I'm up in Cooperstown and I saw a plaque of Leroy Selman. I said that plaque belongs in my state, Florida, and it's currently hanging on my wall in my home right now. I'm not even going to add another player because when you go ahead, your first pick in your franchise history is him, and he ends up in the Hall of Fame. Forget about the other names. It's Leroy Selman, and there is no 1A or B. It's just simply a 1 in 48 point print, period.
All right, I agree with you on that, Scott. But my 1A is Doug Williams. I thought he put him a little bit when they went and made that playoff game against our championship game against the Rams to go to the Super Bowl. I actually was rooting for them to win. So
a lot of people were, but think about it. At least things worked out for him in the end where he won a championship with Washington. But when you're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as Leo and I have talked about, it only starts with Leroy Selman. I'm not trying to criticize what you're talking about with Doug Williams, because there's a guy that broke barriers for African-American quarterbacks, but the accomplishments that he did not only in Tampa, but ultimately winning the Lombardi. But Leroy Selman is in a class by himself. And he had restaurants there. Unfortunately, he wasn't alive to see that franchise grow, but he was on to something there. Did you ever eat at one of those restaurants, though, Leo?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, what were they like? Were they barbecue places or what were they?
They were kind of mom and pop type things. He used a lot of his mom's recipes. But it wasn't something that you went in and say because there's only one thing. It was pretty much a smorgasbord of what you wanted.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I never made it to one, but Leo, I'm all the way with you. You and I, see, this show's helping you and I. You know what it's going to do? When we do our thing over at Black Rock, we're going to have more stories. I encourage everybody to watch the Motor City Mad Mouse show on site in Tampa with Scott and Leo. We're going to have a whale of a time there.
We may do it from Black Rock. Who knows?
Huh?
We may do it from Black Rock. Who knows?
Well, we are going to do it from Black Rock because I'm already working on it behind the scenes, and I'll get into it more privately. Let me tell you, Leo, there's a lot of things I'm working on behind the scenes, my brother. The only thing I'm going to tell you is let's make sure available on a Saturday. Fair enough? That's the only. Yeah, that's the only because otherwise you and I are going to be busy on Friday and Sunday with what our responsibilities are from the Final Four. Wait, so I already got you on the calendar, Mr. Haggerty. Great stuff, man.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh yeah.
All right. All right, let's move on here. But first, I got to pay some bills here. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, our studio sponsor, 724-201-0500. And today, we're in a makeshift studio here in my hotel room at the Grand Hotel, Ocean City, Maryland, on the boardwalk. So just to let everyone know, I'm planting some seeds down here as well. All right, next, let's go into our next team, the Atlanta Falcons. Start with you, Pensman.
Matt Ryan, when he played, he can't go by what he did.
All right, Scott Morganroth.
Man, it's hard for me to go against Steve Bartkowski.
Bartkowski, yes, that's mine.
I cannot go against him.
No, you
and
cannot.
Here's a great Atlanta Falcons story. I was at the first game ever at the Georgia Dome, and I'll never forget the time how much fun I had with Jerry Glanville. Told him I was from Detroit. He got a few minutes. He gave me whatever I wanted. It was that good. And the word that would have come out, Leo, would have been heck. So that's a good word, okay? It's not anything that anybody would be upset with, right? Help me out. Yeah. But no, Jerry Glanville is great. But Steve Bartkowski, how can you go against this guy? I don't know.
All right, Leo Haggerty.
Steve Bartkowski was mine, too.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's move on. New Orleans Saints. We'll start with you, Scott. New Orleans Saints.
I'm going Archie Manning all the way.
Yeah.
I don't even think there's another guy who comes close to Archie.
You got
took a beating back in the day, and he still managed to survive. And now what does he have? A couple of kids playing, and all they've done is won Super Bowls.
I'm going to say this just for some fun. Ricky Williams.
Yeah.
All right. Leo Haggerty, New Orleans Saints.
Guys, I'm going to go down a different alley with this one. How about Tom Dempsey?
Yes, that's right. Tom Dempsey with the kicker. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I knew you were going to do that, Leo, but I just knew it because you're going to sit here and tell me the guy got a square foot beat the Detroit Lions with that 60-yard field goal over at Tulane Stadium. Only I can realize that, but I'm with you.
You know, Alex Karras tells the greatest story of that. When he lines up to kick a 63-yard field goal, he goes, "We didn't even rush him. We thought, what the heck's going on?" And all of a sudden, it sounded like a shotgun going off. He still holds the record. And this is a trivia question you can win at a bar. He still holds the record for the longest field goal from where it was kicked. It was 63 yards. Now, we know there were ones longer. But guess what? He kicked it from the 37-yard line because the goalpost was on the goal line back then. So it was from the 37. No one's ever kicked a field goal from inside the 40 except Tom Dempsey.
Well, then, if you're going to add that story, here's what I'm going to throw into it. You know who the referee was in that game?
Who?
Jim Tunney.
Oh, okay.
And you know what, Leo? I met him years ago over at Super Bowl 39 in Jacksonville, and Jim Tunney and I had a whale of a time. And he actually ended up I think he gave me a book. We had a great time talking about that whole thing that you talked about. And it was just real.
Yeah, real quick, also, the best one still has to be Ben Dreith when he goes, "Yeah, that penalty is on this guy. You give him one of these in the." I go, "Oh my God, this guy's hysterical." Ben Dreith.
All right, Pensman Sports.
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially after what that town went through, and then to turn around and do that. Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah, that's true. Hurricane Katrina really turned New Orleans upside down. And the amazing part about it was when I covered the New Orleans Bowl when FAU took on Memphis, I drove around that area. It was sad. It wasn't it. It really was.
Yeah.
Drew Brees is a good one. I'm actually could say, President and Leo, I covered New Orleans win their Super Bowl over the Indianapolis Colts here in Miami. It was an unbelievable story with the Bensons and everything they'd gone through.
All right. Next, and not last but not least, the Carolina Panthers. Let's start off with you, Pensman.
Yeah, I know. I'll come back around me.
All right,
Okay,
let me
sure.
go. I
Go
got
ahead,
one
Leo.
right away. And I
I
still don't
don't.
understand why Luke Kuechly didn't get in the Hall of Fame this year. I tell you what, when the Bucks talk about Luke Kuechly,
Right.
they said he's the only linebacker, the only defensive player they ever played against that over half the time before they snap the ball, Luke Kuechly's yelling out what the play's going to be. He was such a cerebral linebacker. He looked like a professor with the little glasses and everything. And I'll tell you what, you come out of the ACC and you lead the conference in tackles with 14, this guy can play. Coming out of Boston College, he could play. The fact that he didn't get in, and I asked somebody from the Hall of Fame, he goes, well, he wasn't in the queue. I mean, you got to kind of wait your turn when there's someone else ahead of you. I said, you know what? I don't agree with that. When somebody comes in and they're not going to make Tom Brady wait, they're not going to make some other people wait. So the best linebacker of his time should have made him wait. But yeah, Luke Kuechly.
All right, let's get Scott.
No, I actually want Penman to go this time. I don't have a
All
problem with him. I think he's had a little time.
Let's
Good,
go.
Pensman.
Let's go with Jake Delhomme. He
Jake Delhomme.
did take him to the Super Bowl, and they almost won.
Jake Delhomme. All right, go ahead, Scott.
How about Julius Peppers?
Yes.
Julius Peppers, guy
Absolutely.
came from North Carolina, ended up playing over at Carolina Panthers. I like Julius Peppers. Think about it. The guy stayed in the state that he played in college, right? And he had the impact the way he did. I'd definitely go ahead and put Julius Peppers. But you know what, Leo? Luke Kuechly is unbelievable, this guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the politics of the Hall of Fame are what they are. Sad but true that you have to wait your turn, because I could make the same case for Derek Thomas that he should have been there sooner than he was. And he didn't, but ultimately got in.
You know what, guys? I'm going to throw one out for it. Do you think that Cam Newton doesn't come to the forefront just because of what's the off the field and kind of he's become a little bit of more of a TV personality? Because I always said, if people hit Tom Brady the way they were allowed to hit Cam Newton, they'd have been not only ejected from the game, they'd probably been ejected from the league. That man took such a beating because he was so big and strong that it was amazing. But Cam Newton was a really good player too.
Well,
Yes,
you want to go that route? I might have just put Kerry Collins in there.
Yes, Gary Collins.
How many people really know about Kerry Collins? Guy came out of Penn State, right? And all of a
yes,
sudden,
he did.
gets into the NFC Championship in their instant year. Don Capers was the coach there. And a great story to what you're saying, Leo, that Cam Newton goes into Jerry Richardson's offices and tried to sell him about drafting him and showed him his resume.
I think Carolina was the best move on Kerry's thing, because when he was coming in from New Orleans, he had a lot of drinking issues.
Well, maybe so, but let's just keep that aside and talk football. I mean, how many people don't have drinking issues that never got publicized during the day when you have internet where it becomes a lot more?
I'm saying that Carolina was a good move for him because he actually focused on football then.
True, but I want to just depends on if that's okay with you guys. I want to stay on point. Kerry Collins, I think, was the first draft choice. Leo, correct me if I'm wrong. One of the top draft choices in Carolina Panthers history, if I remember right. And he did a nice job. And again, back to what I said about Cam Newton, guy showing Jerry Richardson his resume about what he did. Why not? It's a good way to tell the owner about why they should pick you at the number one pick.
All right. Now our next segment is My Town. So here we are, brought to you by Draft Nation. Draft Nation, listen, Draft Nation is the number one website to get all your draft information, NFL, NHL, NBA, and also Major League Baseball, and anything that involves the Draft Nation is draftnation.com. They also have shows on there, some great shows, baseball, football shows, and a whole lot more at draftnation.com. All right, let's start out with My Town. Scott Morganroth, go ahead.
I'm going to take my town and go 2 hours south of Tampa. In this particular case, I'm going to mention Fort Myers, Florida. Candy Abley and I had an unbelievably great time last week with the Minnesota Twins, who welcomed us with open arms, and I was able to get some great stuff out of there. Talked to the catcher, Ryan Jeffers. Audra Martin was also there. The Twins, I think you're familiar with her, right, Leo, who does the Twins games.
Yes.
And an opportunity to talk to the athletic trainer. And of course, not last but not least, I had Pablo Lopez. I'll make it short and sweet. I wrote a story that'll be on the South Florida Tribune probably tonight or tomorrow. And I encourage everybody to check out the South Florida Tribune. I have 4 great videos. We did a show on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. So my hat's off to the Minnesota Twins, the PR people. They were absolutely fantastic. It was a wonderful experience. And I think about the fact that I traded Sebring to go to Fort Myers to cover the Twins at Hammond Stadium. It was great. So it was a great experience. Leo, being a longtime journalist like you are, you can certainly appreciate how well, the more flexibility and latitude you end up getting, the more productive we are as hardcore journalists. And the Twins, the only downside of that whole trip, unfortunately, was when we went to Fort Myers Beach and saw the devastation there. It was sad. But we did that Saturday. It was. But dating back to Sunday, last Sunday was unbelievable. And I'm so thankful to the Twins and all the things we got accomplished. So Fort Myers, Florida gets my vote for my town this week.
All right, my town, Pensman, go ahead.
I'm going to put some positivity until it happens. Thursday is opening day for baseball. The Pittsburgh Pirates are starting their season. Will it be a dumpster fire? Probably, but I'm just saying that's why I'm putting some positive input right now. It's starting 0-0. We'll see how far they fall down, but that's my town.
All right, Leo Haggerty.
Well, we got the Valsmar Championship happening out at Palm Harbor. That's going on Saturday and Sunday. The Lightning stole one down in Dallas, winning 3-2 in a shootout. They've got a back-to-back on the road. They go to Utah today and then out to Vegas on Sunday. Then they're back here on Tuesday for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that's what's happening there. And thank God we get through a show without having to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. You know, they're sitting around. They're going to open up next week. I think the week after. I think they open up like the 29th maybe. But, yeah, that's something we're looking at. They've got 5 more exhibition games in Grapefruit League, and then they'll open up. And USF, catch this, guys. Spring football starts Tuesday. Welcome to the NCAA.
All right. My town, Aaron Rodgers visited the Steeler facility. And also I want to talk about the Penguins. Penguins have a little bit of a winning streak going. But here's the thing that concerns me is it seems like the Penguins, they falter all season long. And then at the end of the season, they start picking it up. They are not consistent. They have to be consistent in order to get to the playoffs and get to the Stanley Cup. And they haven't been consistent for a long time now, and they need to start doing it. The roller coaster continues. They win 5 games or will lose 10 or whatever, but they're on a winning streak right now. Let's hope it stays that way for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And there's not too many games left until we get to the playoffs as well. Don't forget this afternoon, 2 to 3 p.m., the Sports Corner radio show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. We're on 1250 a.m. The Answer at 92.5 on the FM dial. And, you know, I'll be playing it on the boardwalk today here in Ocean City. All right, our final thoughts segment is next. And let's see who we got here. All right, let me go with I'm going to go with Keystone Coachworks. Call them today, 412-833-1900. Keystone Coachworks. Look, I'm handicapped. I needed a wheelchair-accessible van. I went to Keystone Coachworks. They put my van together the way I wanted it. And you know what? They have financing available as well. See Dawn. Talk to him. He'll take very good care of you there. Tom Ralph Williams sent you Keystone Coachworks right on Library Road at Route 88 Bethel Park. 412-833-1900. All right, final thoughts. Let's go with you, Leo.
Well, we're finding out how the NCAA men's selection committee was so wrong with all these
Yeah.
SEC powers that they thought they were just getting eliminated right and left. Yeah, Florida, they belonged. Auburn, they belonged. Alabama, Tennessee. But after that, I want to see how many they got left. 14 of the 16 teams in the dance. Hey, somebody had a ticket that should have been revoked.
All right, Scott Morgan-Ralph.
I'm going to take you out of the NCAA for a moment. Watch out for the college basketball crown in Las Vegas and look at some of the interesting matchups out there. It's a 1 week event out in Vegas. And there's some pretty interesting schools that didn't get into the dance or even the NIT that took the Fox money to go to Vegas. So that's a tournament that'll be, Leo, 10 to 14 days. I'll be curious to see what kind of attention it ultimately draws because the NIT left out a lot of notable teams with what they did, and Fox was able to hook them over to that particular tournament. So I send my piece. I'll leave more of it for the NCAA next week, but watch out for the college basketball crown because it's something that Fox is going to put together, and I'll be curious to see how much that tournament grows.
All right, Pensman. Oh, I'm sorry. I already got the Pensman.
No, I'm going to piggyback on what Leo said.
Sorry, Pensman.
No, you're good. You're good. The NCAA committee, did they get it right? Because ESPN was all over this team. The North Carolina Tar Heels, they made it in. They made it in. Oh, they won by 50. Oh, good job. Could they make a deep run? They lose to Ole Miss last night. Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? You're 1-12 in the quad 12. You're 1-12 in the quad pack. So,
hey Ralph, I want to add one more. I'm going to make a prediction, Leo. I'm going to actually ask you what your thoughts on this one, if it's okay. I predict that NBC will get back in the baseball business.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. You know,
I want to see what's. You know what, Scott? You may be right, but I think it's a little bit down the road because I think there's so much experimentation right now with streaming, especially with Peacock. That would be a great thing for NBC to jump in with Peacock because now it would force people to subscribe. And that's the thing with ESPN and all that. You know, they try to raise their rates, like a quarter a month. Well, that seems like minuscule, but when you start looking at 100 million subscribers, that's a lot of money. So yeah, I just want to see what they do with the rights fees. What Major League Baseball is going to ask to broadcast these games.
Well, Leo, connect the dots, please. Okay, NBC gets 5-10 games a year. Doesn't have to have a million of them, right? As long as you can get the Sunday night package and wherever you're going to do it, just get in the game. I didn't see how many games, did I, Leo? And then you have
get back in the game. Yeah,
right. That's all I said. I didn't say how much of a player. I love your response about wow because you and I are old enough to appreciate NBC's game of the week, right?
Yeah.
Never heard of Joe Garagiola, Vince Scully,
and Tony Kubek. It was nothing better.
Yeah, Kurt Gowdy. I mean, they're pretty good. I just said they're going to give. I didn't say how many games they were going to broadcast. If you're able to get NBC/Peacock, that's a different animal. I'm glad ESPN's getting out of the game only because they weren't as involved as they used to be. So I'm just throwing it out there, Leo, for us to talk about in a couple of weeks. I think NBC is going to get in the baseball game. I really do. To what level? TBD, Leo.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. My final thoughts are: I'm not happy with the Pitt men's basketball team and Coach Jeff Capel, and I think that Alan Green, our athletic director, needs to step up and set a precedence and fire this guy because 2 years in a row, he said no to the NIT. Do you know how much money that's going to cost the university? Also, how much money it's going to cost this town if we could have had a home game for the NIT and brought people and the folks to Pittsburgh? No, it's not going to happen that way now. But Jeff Capel, I don't care what kind of contract you have or what kind of buyouts you have. Alan Green, please step up and fire this guy, okay? Because it's unacceptable. When you lose money, you fired Heather Light, the last athletic director, because she couldn't get money. And now all of a sudden you got a coach that's helping the team, the university lose money, and you didn't fire him. Come on, Alan Green. Get a backbone. Fire him. All right. That's my final thoughts for today. All right. Let's go around the horn here. How they can get a hold of everybody. I'll start with myself. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter X platform. Or I'm sorry, not Twitch, Twitter X. Also on LinkedIn. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out all my archive shows. Ralph Williams, RW Media. And please don't forget to follow me on Twitter X. I'm almost to 200. I'm at 190. So please help me 10 more people to follow me on Twitter X platform so I can make my 200 goal for the end of March. So let's get that going. And also don't forget about my radio shows on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Ralph Williams, Tony Moreno show. And then at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., the Sports Corner radio show, which will be coming up later on this afternoon. And please don't forget to listen in 1250 a.m., 92.5 FM, The Answer, and Sports Corner show, along with the wrestling show right now, will be going on the Oracle Radio Network starting in about 2 weeks. So just to let everyone know that as well. And we'll still be on our normal platforms. And also, I want to thank the Huddle Sports Network and the South Florida Tribune for picking us up today here on the Sports Wrap Show. All right, let's go with Leo Haggerty. You're next. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, take a look at YouTube. I did a great interview with a collegiate golfer who's earned his spot at the Valspar, Kieran Van Wyck. He's from South Africa. He's at the College of Charleston. He's the #1 college golfer in the country right now. And I had a great interview with him. He's up, but go to Amped Up Sports on YouTube, Facebook, all over the place. We're there.
All right. Don't forget on Wednesday nights, Leo's on with Peter Blake down there in the Sports Web Show. Starts at 8 p.m. now. Peter starts that show. Go ahead, Pensman. How can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on YouTube on Pensman Sports. You can find me on X on Pensman Sports. You can find me on South Florida here on Wednesday and Thursday night. So hope to see you there.
All right, Pensman's our guest for today. Thank you for being part of the program. As you know, we have guests on when we can get them. But we got Pensman today. It was great to have you on here as well. Scott Morgenroth, South Florida Tribune Guide. How can people get a hold of you?
Thank you, Ralph. Always good being on with this group. I really, truly
Thank
enjoy
you.
it. Starts with the website, www.southfloridatribune.com. YouTube. There you go, Ralph. Thanks for putting the book up there. Lessons from the microphone. Enjoyed writing that book. Looking to write a second one in the not so distant future. Well, thanks for putting that up there, Ralph. YouTube, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. We have a lot of great stuff, not only on site, but our podcasts complement it as well. Twitter/X at Tribune South. And of course, we are on Instagram, South Florida Tribune, but those are the main ones. So YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, I do a little bit, mainly that. And of course, what can I say? Our website, where you can find everything about us. Thanks, Ralph. I'll always enjoy being on. Thank you.
You're welcome, Scott. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being part of the program. Everyone have yourself a great weekend. Thank you for watching, and also the comment section as well. I'm going to close up here. I'm in Ocean City, Maryland, on a business trip here. I'm laying some seeds down here in Ocean City, getting ready to go to the boardwalk. If anyone is in Ocean City and you're tuning in right now, you can catch me on the boardwalk today. So talk to everyone next week. Until next time, thank you for being part of the show, and be safe. Thank you.
Have a good